Hi, in this tutorial we are going to do a global leaderboard that tracks scores, playtimes and wins globally, even if players log in and log back. It can track all the scores and then compare them to the new ones and then order them on the leaderboards. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. If you want to access the code or the assets of this tutorial, you can check our Patreon in the description. Let's continue the tutorial. Alright, so before going to the code, let me first show you how you set it up. And so this is just three textures, and well, we made the device to work for playtime, scores and wins, and the device itself tracks those things, but you know, it could be anything. Basically, it could be any stat. So we have textures for those, and we have materials to display those, and then basically on each one, so for each table we have 10 rows, right? So for each row we have two billboards, the value billboard and the name billboard. So let me actually show you from the score table. So let me, if I just write 0 on this, okay, this is the name, so let me just write name. You can see the names. So basically make sure there's no text on them initially, but basically device fill these billboards according to the values of the player or the NPC. We also have a option to use NPCs for testing. Maybe you may want to use them in your game as well, not just for testing. But anyway, so it displays the name and the score. So important thing here is that make sure you make the billboards smallest as possible. So it's 0.33, the smallest scale, because if you make them large, then they will overlap on each other. Actually, they still do, but they don't create that stutter problem when they are this small. When they are at the default size, they will create this stutter issue with the text that are displayed on top of each other. So just like the major thing, make sure those billboards are smallest as possible, and make the value text justification to be centered, and then make the names to be centered on the left, so that names start from here, and then for the values they're always centered to that point. Right. Let me delete that as well. Okay. And we have the device here, so for the playtime billboards, score billboards, and win billboards, we have structures for each, and at each structure you just in an array you fill in the billboards, and that's actually it. Pretty straightforward. And then we have the score trigger container. So this is this device is persistent as well, and so this allows you to give a score to a player using triggers, and you can set this to any amount that you want. You can even set it to negative. And then we have another trigger for win, and this will just give one win to that player. And then we also tracked eliminations as well. So you get eliminations, you get score on eliminations decided by this amount here, and then you also lose scores if you are eliminated, decided by this amount here. So in this one, I'm not losing any score if I'm eliminated. And then, as I said before, you can set a card spawner for testing. And that's about it. It's pretty easy setup, but it's actually really effective thing because it's global, meaning, every score, like this does not just contain the scores of the players that are currently in the game, but this stores the scores. This leaderboard shows the scores of all the players that have ever entered and exited this this game island session, right? So let's say some player have entered the game, like they made some high score, like I don't know, something million, I don't know, some high score, and they left. Their score will still be there, be on the table, and it will, like, according to the other values, it will be repositioned accordingly, even if that player is no longer in that island. And of course, all the scores that's kept by this device is also persistent. So when a player enters an island, they will see their score updated on the leaderboard immediately. And that's about it with the device. Now let's proceed with the code. And by the way, if you check our Patreon, we will give the code and the assets of course on our Patreon. But for this one, we'll actually give the we'll give the project documents directly, so you don't actually you won't be actually need to set these billboards yourself. You will be able to get them preset. You will be able to get this scene, this map preset as is, and that's that. And now let's continue with the code. All right, now in the code, let me close those. Right, so actually, no, this is an old. This didn't work. Let me delete that. Let me change those as well. All right, that compiles and we're good. Okay, so you already know the score trigger container and the editables. So here we store the data, the persistent data and the agent data. Actually, this is the persistent map that we store it, but this is the storage class type that we store the values. So how we do this relocation is using actually two things. We match each these billboards with an optional agent. So it can be an NPC and it could be actually someone that have already logged off, with values as well. And we already have the billboard types defined. So when we start, we initialize stuff and we initialize the billboards right here. Where is that? Okay, we initialize the billboards here. And what we do is we get the row length. We fill in these arrays with initial values, then we fill in the initial locations of the billboards. And then we subscribe to the player joined and left events. Here when players joins, if they don't have an agent data, we get them that, and then we get their score, we get their wins, and we fill their value. So this is an important one, fill agent value. And then on player left just does the remove agent from billboard. So we have actually this code, 3 important pieces: the fill agent value, remove agent from billboards, and update billboard location. So when we do fill agent value, let me come to that. What we are doing is that, so we get a certain billboard container, we want to fill this agent's value in that container, right? So we first look, like, maybe this agent is already in an array, in this array. So first we'll look for that. So first we're looking for that, and if we didn't find it, so then we get the minimum value in that value array, and we'll look if the minimum value is smaller than this value. Like if this value is not even greater than the minimum value on the leaderboard, then we're not going to put it on the leaderboard, right? But if it is greater than the minimum value, we will just overwrite it over the minimum value, since the minimum value no longer be available on the leaderboard. And then like we fill in that value, and then we make sure to fill in that agent in the array as well, and we both update the value billboard and the name billboard texts, and then we update the displays of them, right? And that's actually that. But this just, fills in the values and sets the text on the billboards, but this doesn't actually do the ordering. No, it doesn't, right? Ordering is done by the update billboard locations, which just for a billboard container gets all the values, copies of all the values. Then for all the rows, it gets the maximum value, right? And it gets the index of it. So this loop index determines the location of the billboard of this max index, right? So we are at the first iteration, we are at the 0th index, but let's say max index right now is 5. That means the billboard at the 5th index need to be at the top. And to not like pull in the same values as max values again, we set that value to a minimum value, which is -1 in this case. And then we so basically we get that 0th location for each billboard, so for the value and name billboard, and then we teleport them basically, right? And that's it. We do that for all the billboards in this container, and that's actually basically updates it. So it's you could say, n times, it's an n times n sort of thing. So at each loop we are doing a on search. And then another important thing is we have just find max index, find min index, just pretty straightforward. Format function here that formats the seconds into these strings, save data, and conversion functions for the storage classes, right? And the other important thing is, where is it? Remove agent from billboard. So we call this when either when an NPC dies or either when a player leaves. So this doesn't actually remove their value from the leaderboard. This just nullifies their reference. So this just nullifies this optional agent reference, right? So this just so this just looks for the player, and if it can find it, it's just going to set that reference to false. So it will just set it to empty basically. And that's the 3 most important functions. Then let's go from top to bottom. We have on test NPC spawned. We just do the similar stuff that we do in the on player spawned, but instead we also do some handling stuff for the spawned NPCs as well. So that's just actually like for testing and not for the main purpose of this device. And then on NPC eliminated, like we decrease and increase the scores. And when an NPC dies, we remove them from the billboard, because an NPC dying is actually the same thing as a player leaving. Also, it is the same thing as a player dying, but it's also the same thing as player leaving, because when an NPC dies, a newer NPC is going to spawn, and those like the NPC that's going to spawn in place of the old NPC, it's not going to be recognized as the same NPC by the system. It's going to be just a whole another different NPC. And after changing the score values using the fill agent value functions, we update the billboard locations. And the same stuff on player eliminated, right? There's just an additional loop here. This is, handling the spawned NPCs. So we make sure we want to have all the spawned NPCs in an array to, references to them, so that we can like increase the playtime for them, which we do on. It's up. No. Where is it? It's here. So this is an async function that runs per second, and each 10 seconds we are also saving the persistent data. So this just increases the playtime for all the players and for all the spawn NPCs, fills their values on the billboards, and then updates the locations of the billboards. And that's about it. And the only thing that remains here as unseen is the score and win trigger functions. They just increase the score or the win value of that agent. This could be a player or an NPC. And then they, fill that value, and then they update the billboard. And that's it. Right, let me show the entire thing from bottom to top so that you can see all of it. As I say, there are a lot of stuff here that we, commonly use on all kind of devices, all kind of codes, but the most important functions here are those 3 functions, and it could be even said 2 functions too, but actually, yeah. The 3 functions, which are the update billboard locations, fill agent value, and the remove agent from billboards. And those make up for the main functionality of this device. Right, we're almost done. We come to the editables. All right, we come to the classes, and that's all of it. And now we'll continue with playtesting this and show you how it works. All right, now you can see on the highest playtimes, the playtime tracker is working. You can see that me and my pal here has a playtime of 3 minutes 40 seconds and counting, and the NPCs have a little bit lower since they're spawned later than us. Now we're going to go ahead and eliminate them. And now, like we got I got some score from that. And now we can see that the new NPCs, since they are different NPCs, they start with their own timers now. And even though they're gone, even though the old NPCs are gone, the scoreboard remembers their score, and their score will remain on this board until they just dropped out of the board entirely, and it's all the same for the 3 of these. So I can come here, trigger the score trigger, and it will grant me trigger, and now he can do the same. He can go trigger it a couple of times, and then he will go above me when he triggers for the 5th time. Right now, it's the same with the wins. Now, when he logs out of the game and logs in back, now the boards are going to remember his old scores. So, and they will, they will be responsive to the other scores. And when he comes back, he will register with new scores into the game. So we're waiting for him, and I can actually come here and let them kill me so that they get a score. All right. You see, Unknown has 1 score. And now he's here. Now you can see, okay, now you can see he has a new timer here now. And now you can like trigger the score trigger again to get scores. And he can, he can go up and I can go up even. We can like make his old score go down. That's not just a like static text. It's a live number that reacts to the actual ordering, even though like it's an old score. Okay, trigger it a couple of times so that your old score comes down even more. Okay, so this was his old score already. Okay. So yeah, that's actually, so I actually set it up the NPCs to help me with the testing, but maybe if you want to include like the NPCs in your game on the scoreboards, you can do that just by filling the editable fields on the device. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to access the code or the assets, and actually for this one, we will be giving the entire project on our Patreon. You can just check our Patreon and also to get some help. So see you later.